Hey everybody! In this video we'll be taking a look at Ratchet and Clank for PS4, one of my favorite games of this generation. I'm saying that right out of the bat. Now, first we're going to talk about a little bit about the box art, which in my opinion is rather underwhelming. It just doesn't capture that dynamic feel of the game. It's a good, clean design, and it shows you what you need to know. It shows the characters, it shows the bad guys, it shows some side characters, but I don't think it really captures the game's highly dynamic action feel that, is present throughout the whole series. However, I can't fault the artists for that because I'm sure that they could have done better. It's just that this kind of stuff sells, so they had to go for what sells rather than what they thought looked good. It's decent enough box art, I suppose, for what it is. The disc art, unfortunately, is pretty bad. It just looks like a screenshot of the game to me, and really just doesn't fit the disc, doesn't fit anything. It's the same picture you'd see on the back of the box, except, it's more pale, it's less saturated, and it just looks bad. Underwhelming box art or not, Ratchet and Clank is one of the best games of this generation, so let's see just why I love it so dang much. As is the case with most of the other games from this series, we are looking at a blend of 3D platforming and third-person action shooting. So this game takes the familiar formula and makes it even better, builds on what was already there, improves it, and doesn't try to invent, doesn't break anything, it just makes everything that much better. Ratchet and Clank for PS4 is one wonderfully put together, highly dynamic package that never stops being fun, that never stops being exciting. We're looking at a game with almost perfect pacing, and the only reason I'm saying almost perfect is because the game has these annoying puzzles that you have to solve, and for a person like me who really hates puzzles and logical stuff, they were very annoying and unenjoyable. Fortunately, the game understands that not everybody is into puzzles, so if you don't care about achievements and trophies, and believe me, I do not, you can set the game so that it automatically solves these puzzles for you, and you'll be right back in the action the moment it solves them, and that takes only a couple seconds. However, if you do try to solve them yourself and you're bad at it, like I am, that will break your pacing and will take you out of the action for a significant amount of time, which honestly is not very enjoyable. Fortunately, I'm glad that the developers understand the fact that not everybody likes this kind of stuff, and they let people like me skip that and just focus on the action. Now, the game also has entire levels that are less action-packed and more sort of logical. They revolve around solving environmental puzzles when you play with Clank, the little robot. However, these puzzles are never frustrating. They're never annoying. They do not break the pacing of the game. They just make the gameplay more fun, more refreshing, more entertaining. So I don't have a problem with these puzzles. I never found them difficult. I never found them frustrating. I never found them annoying. My only issue with the game's puzzles are the hacking puzzles that you have to solve in order to unlock some doors and such. Other than that, whether I'm fighting enemies with Ratchet or solving puzzles with little Clank, the game never stops being fun. And speaking of fighting enemies, you get to face all sorts of bad guys in this game, from robots to different aliens and monsters and whatnot. Some of them are bigger, others are smaller, some are gigantic, and in order to defeat them and get the upper hand in combat, you need to use all those wacky weapons you acquire throughout the game, combine them in interesting ways, and just pick your favorite weapon, and for as long as you have ammo for it, go all out with it and just kick alien butt. Now, there's so many different weapons in this game that you can upgrade, and as you upgrade them, their behavior changes, they get more ammo, they get different abilities and such, that you really want to experiment and upgrade your weapons as much as you can. However, to do this, you have to collect a certain substance called raritarium that I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Doesn't matter. Now, to collect this thing, You can either find it in the game's world, or sometimes enemies drop it, and it's not as common as I'd like it to be, but it's not as rare as its name implies either, so it's all good. Considering how beautiful and amazing this world is, you're bound to find all the nodes in the world, or at least most of them, as you play, because if you're anything like me, you'll just enjoy exploring these gorgeous, stunning environments and come across different collectibles in the process. So generally, I'm not the type of person who goes out of his way to collect something and to get 100% in games, and Ratchet and Clank is no exception. However, there are these golden bolts that unlock different kind of stuff, mostly cosmetic stuff, like different armors that of course serve no purpose in terms of gameplay, but they look pretty, and I wanted to get this green armor that requires 26, I believe, out of the 28 golden bolts. So I went out of my way to collect those before I finished the game, because I wanted to actually use the armor in-game. And by the time I got enough bolts for it, I was near the end of the game, so I didn't get to use my new fancy armor as much as I wanted to. However, it really did look pretty. So there's a lot to collect. There are these collectible cards that people seem to like a lot. I personally don't care about cards one bit, collecting cards in real life, so I don't care about it in game. However, completing sets of these cards unlocks some type of bonuses, and there's also cards for the strongest weapon in the game, the Rhino, which I only had one card missing, and I honestly did not bother to collect it, because by the time I would have collected that card, I would have been at the end of the game, so there was no point in doing that. I'm not the type of person who replays these kind of games immediately after finishing them, so the Rhino, the most powerful weapon, would have just gone to waste until I replay the game at some point in the future, if I do. But I believe I will. It's an outstanding game. So there's a lot to see and a lot to do in this game, and there's a lot of enemies to fight, and each and every battle is a ton of fun. It's like an action sequence from a cartoon or a movie. In fact, the entire game feels like a highly dynamic Pixar or DreamWorks movie. Just outstanding. Very few games manage to capture this feel, this sense that you are part of a cartoon, of an actual movie. And part of this is because games that could have captured this feel, for example, the Mario Galaxy games, they have the art direction for it, they have the gameplay for it. However, they lack the voice acting, which is very important in capturing that sense that you are part of a cartoon. Because, most cartoons, most well-made cartoons, also have very good voice acting. One other game that I can single out as capturing that feel, that sense of being in a cartoon perfectly, is Kid Icarus for the 3DS. And of course, the rest of the Ratchet and Clank series and the Jak and Daxter series, they're excellent at that as well. So, Ratchet and Clank PS4 only improves on this, and in my opinion, it brings it to absolute perfection. It truly feels and looks like a modern-day CG 3D cartoon. It's just incredible. This sense that you're playing a highly dynamic, action-packed cartoon is only strengthened by the excellent and very creative combination of different gameplay styles. At one moment you're grinding on rails, then you fight with your ship, blasting enemy ships out of the sky, then you find yourself playing as Clank, who's running for his life from some big giant robot or alien, and all these things come together so well that they really, really make the game feel like this really awesome action movie with little story. In fact, speaking of story, there really isn't much of a story in this game. It's fun. The characters are what really shines. They're fun. They're charming. They have good dialogue, well-written dialogue. But as far as the story itself, it's nothing really special, and that's alright. I mean, it's a cartoon for kids, so who cares? I don't want it to be something deep or incredibly emotional or anything. Now, Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time did have a great storyline, so it's not like they can't do good stories, and Into the Nexus was pretty good, but, for what it is, I think it's absolutely perfect. This game is absolutely perfect the way it is.
Where do you think you're going?
Hey, Grim, you're here. I thought you'd be down at the bazaar shopping for gravity coils.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm here. I'm always here. I don't
So
suppose...
the game has excellent gameplay. It also has outstanding visuals. In my opinion, I understand that maybe technologically, from a technological point of view, Uncharted 4 has better graphics and it has insane visuals, don't get me wrong. But to me, Ratchet and Clank is the best looking game of these current generations, at least out of games that are already out. It really feels like I don't know, like so much love went into creating these visuals. There's so much detail in here. Everything just looks like it should. You have the fur looks like actual fur. You have different textures and different materials really look like what they should and what they would be looking like. You have excellent reflections. Now, not all reflective surfaces reflect everything, and clearly that was done because they couldn't possibly, have the PS4 in its current state reflect everything off of everything and run the game at a decent frame rate. We're looking at a game that runs at 30 FPS, and oh boy, how could they do that? I mean, I cannot play this game. It's 30 FPS. How can I don't even know. I mean, I was ready to put the game down. I don't know why I haven't played it. No, really. Seriously, I don't give a rat's ass about this. And I apologize for my language there, but I get so frustrated with people complaining about frame rate, especially in games like this. The game is perfect the way it is. Yeah, it runs at 30 frames per second. Maybe the frame rate dips somewhere. Maybe it does not. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. What I do pay attention to is the incredible lighting, incredible shadows, incredible texturing, incredible color combinations. I cannot believe just how incredibly beautiful and stunning this game looks. It's hands down the best looking game I've ever seen. Now, I remember back in the GameCube days, I thought that Star Fox Adventures, another very, very underrated game that I plan on replaying, and if it works on an emulator so that I can record it, I will replay it and record it and give you a nice review of it. I thought that game looked like a Pixar cartoon. It was back then, I was still in high school, I believe. And now we have Ratchet and Clank that I think, until something else comes along, finally managed to capture that Pixar look in a real-time environment. It's just incredible. It's insane how beautiful this game is. Now, there's one other interesting thing about the visuals that I really enjoyed. Earlier I mentioned collecting these golden bolts. Now, the more of those you collect, the more kind of cosmetic stuff you unlock, as well as some cheats. Now, I didn't use the cheats because I didn't need them. Otherwise, I would have happily used them. Believe me, I don't care if I cheat in a game as long as I'm having fun, but there was no need for them here. They also unlock different filters, and while most of these filters are rather underwhelming, they have this sort of 70s filter that makes the game look like a 70s recording of sorts, like a 70s movie. And while I was exploring the world and collecting stuff, I found myself often using that filter because it was just so pretty. I can't explain what it is, but it makes the game look even more real. It really makes it look like an old 70s movie, and it's just really, really good. It was a ton of fun, so I played a good chunk of the game like that. So what Ratchet and Clank PS4 is, it's sheer perfection. The game has tight, responsive controls that never feel awkward, that always get you where you need to be, and whether you're swimming underwater, or flying up in the sky with your jetpack, or with your ship, or fighting on the ground. These controls never feel artificial, they never feel awkward, they never feel wrong in any way. It's just so good, whether you're aiming at bad guys, and there's aim assists for people like me who can't aim well, and the game goes out of its way to make the player as comfortable as possible, and that's something I respect a lot. There are no lives that you can lose. You don't have to replay huge portions of a level if you happen to die. It's just everything about the game is so streamlined, so well put together. It doesn't matter what difficulty you play. I was playing the game on normal. I felt it was very easy, and I like it that way. Easy would have been too easy even for me. It wouldn't be as much fun. But if you happen to have little kids who are not used to more challenging games, by all means, let them play the game on easy. Let them enjoy it however they want. But let your kids play this game. This is a game that sends a very positive message. This is a game that inspires creativity. It's an outstanding game in every aspect. And I really, 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 really am just so happy that I bought this game. If I didn't have a PS4 already, I would have bought one for this game alone. It's just that good. I understand that maybe a lot of stuff was taken out, removed, whatever, from the original game, but then we had new stuff added in, and it doesn't matter. If you look at the game as a standalone title, it's what it is. It's sheer perfection. And for whatever reason, it's cheaper. In America, it's around $40. I believe in Europe is 40 euros. I'm not sure because I bought the American version. I don't understand how this game can be $40 and some generic Call of Duty whatever costs 60 or more with DLC and whatnot. Look at this game. This game is absolutely perfect. This is the kind of game that people should be playing, in my opinion. So please give the game a chance if you haven't already, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this as much as I do. It's just an incredible experience.